So yesterday I made a video about roasting our 450-gallon display tank because I'm planning on shutting it down and restarting it. And leave it to one of my local competitors to call me out. You know, he reached out to me last night and he's like, "Hey, what's going on with your display tank? All these problems seem like solvable problems. Maybe we can figure something out." So I had to fill him in on that while all the reasons I listed in the video are legitimate reasons, the Mahanos really are a very frustrating annoyance. None of those were the actual reason why I'm shutting the system down and restarting it. And I wasn't going to get into it in the video, but now that he's called me out, I feel like I kind of have to. So this tank was already set up when I merged my business into this one about 2 years ago. And at that time, I was just so excited to have a 450-gallon display. I was just over the moon because I always wanted to have a queen angel. And this is one of the few tanks that actually has a width that's appropriate for a queen angel because they have fairly wide turning radius. They're just not a fish that's suited for a smaller tank or a more narrow tank. I was all geeked out, excited about being able to have 450. You gotta keep in mind, when you run a business, you don't get to just keep all the fish. I know I joke about that a lot, but at the end of the day, you have to stay in business. So fish will come in, and inevitably the ones that I fall in love with always sell right away. I always give at least 2 weeks for a fish to sell before I allow myself to think about keeping it. One by one, I'm like slowly, being able to keep these fish, ones that I personally have selected out that I really want for me, for the shop, and getting them through the full quarantine, which is a whole other process, going through all that stuff and adding fish to 450. And there was never any sign of sickness, illness, but one by one, my fish would just slowly disappear. And there was never any dead bodies. They would just disappear. And I started getting, I started being like one of those like paranoid people that's like, no, something's wrong. Like there's something in there. There's something in there that's getting my fish. And so I was setting crab traps. I was like creeping on the tank. The lights would go out, doing all the things, trying to figure out what the heck is going on with my fish. Where are they going? Some of these were not small fish. It just got to the point where it's more psychological than anything. But at some point I just stopped being able to love them anymore. I stopped naming them. I stopped believing that they were going to be there the next day because there really wasn't an answer. Because this went on for like a year and a half. And I finally just got conditioned to just not put fish in there and to not really care about the ones that were in there because one after another they would just slowly disappear. At that time, there was this huge Monty colony in the corner. And, it was like 6 years old. It was one that had come in from a customer breakdown, and it was massive. It literally was bigger around than like my arms are around. And the whole bottom of it, Monty's sort of formed like these plates. The whole bottom of it was hollow. But, I was getting more and more upset about my fish disappearing because if you guys don't know, I just really love my fish, We all came in at like 1 o'clock in the morning with red lights to scope the tank, trying to figure out what the heck was taking my fish, and spotlighted the whole thing, couldn't find anything, and it was on the final, we're just about to give up and go home, and it was on that final walkthrough that I just was taking one last look before we left, and that's when I saw it. I saw the 2 tentacles sticking out from that Monty. Apparently the whole time, there was a 4-foot bobbit worm living in there. And it's very likely that bobbit worm had been in there for literally years. And I had thought it was weird when I first took over this business. I thought it was weird that John really only had like a couple really big fish in here. He didn't have any community fish. He didn't have like, there was no small, medium fish. It was just like a couple of big fish. And every once in a while, they would have like a really big gash on their side. But we just assumed it was like tang aggression, even though we didn't ever really see them like side swiping each other or anything like that. No, come to find out the whole time it was this big like 4-foot bobbit worm. And in order to get it out, we literally had to pick up that entire Monty colony and drop it inside of a big trash can, and out comes this just alien creature. But ever since then, it really is more psychological than anything I just haven't gotten past the mental hurdle of, I just can't bring myself to put fish in there. Like, I just can't. I can't get past if there could be another one, or if a piece of it broke off, because they can like regenerate and form another one. It was just a very long time of slowly losing faith in the system. And while I legitimately don't think there's another bobbit in there. It's just one of those things that I just can't get past it. So that's why I'm really shutting the system down and restarting it. Said all the other reasons are legitimate reasons, but at the end of the day, we have to sort of do the things that help us mentally get past certain hurdles. And for me, this is unfortunately one of those ones. So